What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha, and in this particular video entry we are going to be talking about the Chicago Triathlon pre-race briefing for basically, my race expectations, kind of what happened last year versus what I expect will happen this year, and kind of following into phase 3 of my training plan for the Chicago Marathon. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're subscribed, watch this content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Let's get into it. So, as you guys probably guessed from many entries before, or if you've been following me on Strava and all these other things and Map My Run back in the day, you probably would have seen that I've done the Chicago Triathlon 4 times in the past before. And usually the results are kind of within the same block of time, if not have been consistently getting better. Whereas like different disciplines for me had either gotten better or worse as the times go on. But the time overall has been getting better, which is good overall. So if I give you, like, for example, last year's times when I was doing this race, I'll also probably find a way to link that particular vlog entry here as well. Last year, I did the Olympic swim in 27 minutes and 7 seconds, which is huge. I didn't expect to do that well. The bike, I did about an hour 15 and 27 minutes. Not my best bike leg by a long shot. There's things to discuss about that. And then my 10K run, I did it in 41 minutes and 18 seconds, which puts me at a 6:40 average. And there's other things in the run that I'd like to discuss as well. But overall, including transition times, my entire Chicago Triathlon time was about 2 hours and 32 minutes and 18 seconds. So I think from that time versus my time in 2018, because in 2019 they cut the swim out, so the race was entirely different. But in 2018, I think I did like 2:37, 2:38, and there was like a whole additional amount of time, and like the bike in 2018 was significantly better than the time I had just last year, which almost in a way doesn't make sense, but it kind of does at the same time because the focus is kind of changed and whatnot. So I guess we'll talk about the swim first. So expectations for this weekend on the swim, I expect it to be okay. It's definitely going to be like a sub 30 swim if all goes well and I'm not feeling like kind of doozy in the water. I'm hoping that I could PR in the swim. I just don't know how possible that's going to be if it's 27:07. Like based on my times in the pool and just kind of experimenting and taking breaks and whatnot, I think I could do it in like 28 minutes, but if I can do it in about the same time, like 27:07 or 27:30, maybe there's some adrenaline in the morning, perhaps the results will turn out better. But for now, I don't expect any miracles during the swim. During the bike, it's going to be an interesting case because an hour 15 and 27, let's put it this way. During my biking now, I haven't biked nearly as much as I did versus last year, but my bike has a lot more, I guess, different upgrades, which have in turn helped my bike just do better overall, per se. So, for example, when I've got actual, like, official aero bars, they're not, like, Walmart style like they were on my previous bike. So they're a lot more comfortable and I feel more aero in them, and then just the positioning because of those bars with like my elbows being able to be tucked in a certain way and then having my arms up in a different position also kind of helps ease the back and not feel as like crammed or claustrophobic as I'm riding, which then later turns into pain during the run. So that's a big upgrade. That's kind of helped. 2, I do have a water bottle, which I don't think I'm going to use, but it straps between the aero bars and, has like the straw and it looks like a missile. I don't think I'm going to use it for the race. I've reserved that for more like the half Ironman and Ironman tier style of racing, which, by the way, I got to get another straw. I like cut it off in a weird spot, so that's kind of an issue. So the bike, I'd be surprised if I go under an hour 15. But if it's within that range, I'm not going to be upset whatsoever. I just don't expect it to be nearly as crazy as it was last year. Because last year also I was training a lot on Zwift. So I spent a lot more time on the bike. But weirdly enough, versus 2018 where I wasn't riding nearly as much but had like a different kind of fitness, I guess, backing to myself. I did better on the bike then versus how I did this year, or in 2021, by over like 3.5 minutes. So that's pretty significant. So we'll see how the bike goes. And then on the run side, I did run a 41:18, which is a 6:40 average. And I like talking about this run because of the insanity that was involved with it. So the first thing to know about the run was that I, like, in the first 2.5 miles was running like 6:05 pace, and like everyone in my corral was like baffled. Like, I remembered like some of the, you know, the tri-suit patterns, and like when people saw me on turnarounds or they saw me just blasting past them, they were confused. Like, they had no idea what was going on. They just thought like I was some average triathlete, like athlete, which in this case I am, but like they didn't expect someone to be blasting 6 minute per mile pace 72 hours after getting out of, like, you know, elevation training, acclimation, you know, getting out of a Silverthorne training camp, basically. The difference now is, like, I'm almost, at the time of this video, like 5 or 6 days after Silverthorne, so that adaptation is, like, obviously dwindling a lot faster, but it's still there for a smidgen. I know by next week it's definitely going to be gone, and then I expect everything to be kind of shit after that, but nevertheless, the run being a 41:18 was obviously significantly better than it was in 2019 and in 2018 respectively. So running it this year, I would be honestly surprised if I can also run a 6:40 average. I think it's possible if I get out of the gate with a 6:40 and just keep the 6:40 rather than blowing up at a 6:05, then turning it to a 6:30, and then finishing at like 7 minutes, 7:15 per mile pace, where like the average starts, you know, going down a lot and you start suffering more and more. So I think being a lot more conservative during the run may be the right play. And as a result, I could match the time, if not make it just a smidgen better. But there's going to be some other factors to consider here. One, of course, is going to be shoes. And this is from the running perspective again. Things I always consider, like, am I going to go with the tried and true Nike Vaporfly Next% 2, which I've used for like almost all of my road races this entire season, give it its one last hurrah run because, you know, it's just about to die, so it's not going to perform at its perfect best, but, you know, we're going to retire the shoe on a high note? Or do I go with, you know, the Alphafly 1, which I had kind of, you know, trashed in a previous video that I might have released actually yesterday at the time of this release, and then, you know, with some developments during like a group run and finding out that the shoe is still comfortable, am I going to end up racing with this? So that's kind of the scenario I'm stuck in. So, like, again, I'll kind of brief you guys on the Alphafly stuff here. I made a video just saying like I would probably never run in the shoe again because, again, last year I ran in this particular model and I had a peroneal tendon like stress reaction near the fibula area in my right foot, and since then I have not raced in this shoe, but after kind of playing around with it and getting my pacing correctly and running slower in other shoes, running in this shoe started making a little bit more sense and it started feeling comfortable again. I did a group run yesterday with like you know, my gym running club, and as a result I found out that I can actually keep a really low heart rate in this shoe. So it's likely, depending on where my heart goes on this, I might actually consider running in the Alphafly for the Chicago Triathlon. And if I get hurt, then I made an amateur mistake choosing the shoe. But if I choose to run in the Vaporfly Next% 2, the run may be slightly slower than it was last year, but the shoe will go out on, you know, a high note and I'll be able to retire it officially, but we will see. Now, option number 3 isn't really on the table right now, but if push really came to shove and I was feeling bold and, you know, like I had some expectations for the Chicago Triathlon, I do have a new pair of the Vaporfly Next% 2 that I might be trying to whip out for this race. It just came in the mail like an hour ago, and I think I'm going to use this particular pair for the Crystal Lake Half Marathon next week. But yeah, it's a brand new pair. I haven't broken it in yet, so that's kind of my, you know, red flag of me suggesting don't use this for race day, because you still need to put a few miles in this shoe just to feel it out, make sure that this particular model of the shoe is not in any sort of, you know, weird spots where it's not going to be race worthy. So overall, I mean, the vibes for the Chicago Triathlon usually just start kicking in the day of, I guess, the athlete briefing. So when we go downtown to the Hilton Hotel, they give us the briefing of the course. That's kind of when I first get hyped overall for it. And yeah, you know, gonna go through the expo, pick up my packets and all of that. I'm probably gonna come home, maybe do a really brief workout, like a final, you know, send-off kind of workout, get all my stuff packed, make sure everything's in the right place, get all the stickers in the right area, and then just pack it all, go from Algonquin to the city at my hotel, which is at the Hilton. And yeah, then it's race morning basically, and we just kind of take it from there. The caveat though with the race is that my sleeping schedule is still pretty bad. So like for example, I was working until like 3:30, 4 a.m. this morning on this particular work shift I had. So the trick here is then I'll end up waking up kind of late in the morning. So I gotta kind of like force my sleep cycle to kind of restore itself. So if it means I take melatonin at like 10 p.m. to make sure I go to sleep, that's what it takes. And then I'll wake up at like 7 or 8 and then just try to keep that as consistent as possible. It might be the only way. I'm not like the one to endorse the use of melatonin, but I understand there are some circumstances where you probably should just go for it. So yeah, that's where I'm standing with the Chicago Triathlon. My expectations are not too crazy as my mind is still focused on the Chicago Marathon and talking about that training block leading into the marathon, as well as the Tokyo Marathon coming up in the next 6 to 7 months and that training block as well. So there's a lot on my mind in addition to, you know, getting these races sorted out, getting the marathon stuff sorted out, getting a sub-3 marathon, getting my work stuff also kind of sorted out, so maybe I can become a senior, you know, position at my job, maybe start trying to date again. So there's a lot of different things kind of going on at the same time, and it's all just going uphill from here. It's just a case of slow but surely, right? None of this is a sprint. It's all just a marathon. It's going to take its sweet time in your life, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and if, you know, this race goes down for a different race to go up, that's just what happens. So not holding high expectations for the Chicago Triathlon. I am excited to race it because I know it's like the end of summer race and it kind of leads into the fall season, but I have not trained, I'll admit right now, I have not trained nearly as hard as I think I should have during the swim and the bike to have results that would, you know, have me on a podium of any sort. So I will leave this entry here, and hopefully the race goes well. I'll have, you know, kind of like a vlog out series of, you know, active stuff going on during the, you know, during the next 24 hours, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll end the video here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.